Hello and welcome to the third lesson on how to play the chromatic harmonica for beginners. So far, in the first two lessons, we've explored the middle octave between hole 5 and hole 8, getting a C major scale and also a D flat major scale and also the chromatic scale. So we're going to now explore the other two octaves and also begin to think harmonically as well after we've done that, and all the different shapes we can get within the C major scale. So firstly, the lower octave between hole 1 and hole 4. I'm just going to talk about a 12 hole arrangement here. So if you've got a 16 hole, we'll maybe talk about that octave another time, but essentially the same thing sort of applies. When I'm playing the lower octave, I'm breathing more from here. So as if you've been winded, and it's coming like that, rather than like pinching all the air right at the front of your mouth. If you're doing that, you won't get a sound. So this idea of the breath being sort of softer, more rounder, is a good way of thinking about it. I'm going to play the note and then take the harmonica away and sort of show you how I'm breathing. So things have got a little bit wider here and here, just a little bit. It's all quite subtle. If I play on hole 5, I can feel that I'm not as wide. Just a little change. Although I can stay the same way actually. But I think instinctively I might just adapt just a little bit smaller for the middle octave. But as I say, it's quite an intuitive thing, so I've got to have to think about, it's like, how do you explain blinking kind of thing? It's something that comes quite naturally, so yeah, but hopefully that helps. Stick with hole 1 until you're happy with the sound. Remember, the breath control will affect the tuning of the note, because you can obviously play too low. We don't want that sound. So we want it more constant. Then we're going to draw in. So that's the lower octave, the C major scale, from hole 1 to hole 4. And of course you can push the slider in and get the D flat major scale too. So work with that. It will probably take a little while to get a constant good sound. Going up to the top register from hole 9 to hole 12. Again, we kind of do the same thing. If the smaller, I think, like on guitar, you know, if you're playing really high on the guitar or something, it's good to be more relaxed, or being aware of being relaxed, because when things get small and taut, you know, if you've got a lot of tension, then it just doesn't work. So you've got to allow these things to move more naturally and find that sweet spot. So again, attacking more aggressive playing isn't going to work at all. So again, it all comes from the diaphragm. I'm going to play hole 9. Again, I'm breathing from here, but focusing the breath a little bit more at the front of my mouth, just a little bit. Now we're going to play that scale on hole 9 to hole 12, the C major scale that we've learnt already, and it should sound like this. Particularly the last two holes, 11 and 12, you really want to breathe from here. Don't breathe at the front of the mouth. So, as you can find out, probably if you're completely new to the instrument, these two octaves are quite a challenge to make a pleasing sound. But don't give up. Keep thinking about this breathing from the diaphragm. So eventually, you've learned pretty much the whole instrument, and the next challenge, there's challenge after challenge. The next challenge is where one octave ends and another one starts, and particularly at the end and the start, those two notes. So. Those two holes rather. So if you think about it, if we're on, let's say, hole 1 to 4, we start on a C and we end on a C on hole 4. Now when we start on hole 5, we've got another C. Those two octaves are right next to each other. So we've got 4 holes here, 4 holes here, and they go right next to each other. And this area here is where we can get confused, because we can think we're on a C which is on like hole 5, but we're actually playing the C on hole 4, and when we draw in we get a horrible shock because if we're on hole 5 it goes up to D, and when we're on hole 4 it goes down to B. So understanding, let's do that again, this area, yeah, is really, really, really important. Understanding which C that you're on. Also, you'll have, with these two C's together, you can make a little mistake and play them at the same time. You see, so I was sort of moving around, then finally got those two C's, and you can start hearing them sort of phasing each other out. Yeah, so ways to sort of navigate this area a little bit better is to practice a D major scale to start with. So on hole 1, if you think about that, we're going to start on a D, so that's drawing in. And then a D major scale has F sharp and C sharp. So let's think, if we go in on hole 1, we got D. We go, or in, as in drawing in. And then blowing on hole 2 gives us an E. Drawing in on hole 2 with the slider in gives us the F sharp. Then moving up to the next hole, G, A. The next hole, drawing in, we get B. Now this will take us up, we're now onto the 4th hole of the series. So the next hole we need is going to be the first hole of the next series. So that's going to be hole 5. And we're going to be blowing with the slider in to make our C sharp, and then drawing in to play our D on hole 5. So hole 1, drawing in, hole 2, blowing, hole 3, drawing in with the slider in to give us the F sharp, hole 3, blowing, drawing in on hole 3, drawing in on hole 4, Now we move to the next octave, to hole 5, and blowing with the slider in. Now you could play that C sharp on hole 4. You've got these options, you see. So always know which one you're playing. So if I get to that hole 4 again and draw in, I could blow on hole 4 and push the slider in, and then move up to hole 5 and draw in to play D. So basically between holes, well, this area here, you have 3 C's. If you think about it, you've got the 2 C's next to each other at the end of the octave. But also if I draw in on hole 4 with the slider in, that's my 3rd C. Also I've got 2 C sharps available, which we just talked about. So that, as I say, this is the area where, you know, we can get a little bit confused, but go very, very, very slowly and understand that area as best you can. And as I say, always think of the note name as you do it. Finally, we're going to talk about the triads that we can get out of C major. So if you think about the first triad, C major, C, E and G, we've already played that from lesson 1, that triad. So that's blowing on holes 1, 2 and 3. But then if we have a triad starting on D, that's going to be D minor. So we've got D, F and A. So that is drawing in on those same 3 holes. Should sound like this. And with the C major before it. So already we've got 2 triads there. Now going up to E, we're going to play an E minor triad. So what's in E minor? E, G and B. So E and G are blowing on holes hole 2, and then blowing on hole 3 for that G, and then moving up to hole 4 and drawing in for that B. So you've got to think of your notes. E, G, B, yeah? Okay. F major. F, A, C. Now remember, when we get to a C, we have, well, 3 options for a C. So which one is going to be smoothest? Well, if you think about it, we're drawing in on hole 2 for the F, then we're moving up to hole 3 for the A, and then when we get to hole 4, if we keep drawing in, we can push the slider in and get our C. So that's a smoother way of playing that triad. We have the option of blowing on hole 4 or hole 5 if we want to, but that will change the breath direction, and there's that tiny millisecond of not playing anything where we change our breath. So it's a smoother way to draw in if we can. So it would sound like this. I'm drawing in hole 2, hole 3 drawing in, and hole 4 drawing in with a slide. F major. Then we move up to G major. We got G, B and D. So G is blowing on hole 3, B is drawing in on hole 4, and D is drawing in on hole 5, the beginning of our new octave. So blowing on hole 3, drawing in on hole 4, and drawing in on hole 5. into the new octave. The next step up is A minor. Now again, in A minor we got A, C and E, so we got options for C. But let's think about, you remember this area here, which we're now sort of in the middle of. We're going to have to skip over a hole because the two C's are together. My A is here on hole 3. It's quite hard to do. And then so I'm drawing in on this one, hole 3. Then I'm going to play my C either here or here. I have a choice. And then my E is down hole 2 of the next series. So which C are you going to play? Well, we're drawing in on hole 3 for the A. So if we keep drawing in and push the slider in for hole 4, that gives us a C. Now I have to jump over hole 5 to get to my E. So now we're starting to begin to understand about intervals and jumping holes. And this is really, really important to understand how far to jump to hit notes cleanly. So hole 3, drawing in for our A. Hole 4, drawing in with a slider in for our C. New octave going up to hole 6 for the E. Jumping that hole, 5 hole, jumping that 5 hole. But that's one option out of 3 potentially that we could play for that C. So practice them all, get used to all of them. And then the last, go up to last degree of the scale, B, that triad is just all drawing in. B on hole 4, D on hole 5, and F. I think I said B minor. It's not B minor, it's B diminished. I don't know why I said that, if I did say that. So B diminished, yeah. So B, D, and then F at the end there, which would be drawing in on hole 4, drawing in on hole 5, and drawing in on hole 6. Which leads us back to our new octave, starting on hole 5, C major. So you want to practice those triads now. Understand the note. The note will tell you about the breathing pattern. Think of the note more than the breathing pattern, because you've learnt your notes on the octave. So if you think F, you just instinctively start to draw in on the second hole, rather than thinking about breath direction. Think more about the note. So the whole thing should sound like this. So I hope you found that useful, and from here on in you're going to have a good knowledge of music theory in relation to keys, knowing your sharps and flats. If you don't know that stuff, then there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube to help you with that, and things like the cycle of fifths, cycle of fourths are very, very important to know, and that will help greatly in sort of finding a way around this little annoyance until it becomes a bit easier, and you start to feel more confident and capable of playing in all keys. This is the whole reason of this instrument. So I'll see you in the next lesson.